Pledge allegiance to the meeting started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. For those of you who haven't been to our meeting before, I want to introduce everyone. My name is Bruce Ettenberg. I'm the president of the Community Association. Maureen Dietrich is the treasurer. Dan Fusco is the vice president. Rich Morgan, want to raise hand, Rich? He's a trustee. Adele Flicker is a trustee. Art Riley is a trustee. And Rachel is our secretary. We've been an organization for about 5 years, and our purpose is to improve the quality of life in Carmack and to bring innovation to the residents and to make things better for all of us. So hopefully this won't be your last meeting. It's your first meeting, but hopefully you'll come back and join us in doing that. I'd like to introduce Robert Donato and Paul Basilico, who are the owners of TDG, who are developing the property where the hotel now sits, east of Mayfair. Robert and Paul?
Yeah.
Who's going to speak first?
I'll stop first.
Anthony Guardino, the lawyer.
Okay.
You can stand by the easel over there.
These are all ours, right?
Yeah, all
Let's just take them over here.
I guess we'll speak together. It doesn't have to be formal, right? Don't panic when you see the green. Remember St. Patty's Day, our architect.
Yeah, let's sit over there.
Just came out a little greener on the big. So. Which way? This one here? Sure. Is that better? Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. Again, my name is Anthony Guardino. I'm the land use attorney representing TDG Carmack in connection with this application. As Bruce mentioned earlier, it is a redevelopment of, I guess it's called the Courtesy Inn Motel, which is east of Mayfair, east of Kings Park Road. It's kind of up on the hill, up in the woods. You don't really see much of it from the road, but it's up there.
It's called the Hilltop Motel, right?
The Hilltop Motel also is the name, exactly. And it's a motel that was built in the 50s. It has multiple buildings, and like I said, it exists up on the top of the hill there. What my clients are looking to do, Robin and Paul, is they are looking to, they're in contract now, they would like to demolish the buildings that are there, and they would like to build age-restricted apartments, so senior apartments for senior citizens. The grading of the property would be changed slightly. It's looking to have irregular topography. But we're hoping to kind of use that to soften or mitigate any impact that the buildings will have on the residents that live here on Astor Court, because it does back up to houses. So what we're looking to do is, the first step is in the process, and it's multiple steps if you're not familiar with the process in Smithtown. This property is zoned, it's actually split zone, WSI, which I think is Wholesale Service Industry, which is like an industrial zone, believe it or not. And that goes back for a certain distance, and then it's R10 for the rest of the way. So it's got a split zone.
R10 meaning what?
R10 meaning residential, 10,000 square foot, so quarter acre lots, basically. And that's what would be allowed here.
How many acres is it now?
It is, the acreage of the property is about 6.75 is what I have here, so a little bit under 7 acres. It's located, as you know, on the south side of Jericho Turnpike. It has a significant amount of frontage here on Jericho Turnpike. My notes here says 36% of the site is actually zoned WSI, and the remainder is zoned R10 residential. What my clients are looking to do is to build, like I said, garden apartments, and they would be, or actually apartments, but we're looking to change the zone to what they call garden apartment zone. And they would like to build 118 units, apartment units, on the site, in buildings that would be no taller than 3 stories. The idea is to use the topography, as I mentioned earlier, so that the height of the new building will not be any higher than the height of the existing buildings. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's correct. So what we did was the first part of the process is it requires a change of zone, because you can't have garden apartments in either WSI or in R10. So we needed to apply to the town board of the town of Smithtown to change the zoning designation to, I think it's what they call it, RMG-GA, which is a garden apartment zone. And that's the relief that we requested. But in Smithtown, before the town board hears an application, you have to go to the planning board for review and recommendation. So we have done that already. We went to the planning board a couple of months ago. We did get a favorable recommendation from the planning board, subject to certain conditions that have a 60-foot buffer in the rear to the houses. There were some other conditions regarding that be, of course, age restricted, which is something that we are looking to do anyway. We're actually going to be required to do it because there will be an on-site sewage treatment facility here, because we are not sewered like most areas in the town of Smithtown. And there's a limitation on how much effluent that facility can process. So if it's age restricted, there's yet less effluent, and that's how we can get the units that we want. We wouldn't be able to make them non-age restricted units. So they will be, by the physical limitations of this plant, they will be age restricted, but the town board, or I should say the planning board, heard what we had said and placed a condition on it that they will be age restricted. So I know there were some people who were concerned that they would just be market rate apartments. They're not. They're going to be age restricted.
Age restricted to what age?
Probably 55 and older. I'm going to work that out with the town. Sometimes they require 62 and older, but generally speaking, 55 and older seems to be the norm these days. And as I said, so they made a determination at the planning board that was favorable, and then we went to the town board. So we went to the town board last week, I guess it was, right? 2 weeks ago, maybe. We appeared before the town board, and we presented the same application. I can tell you, I'm happy to say there's almost no, well, there's no opposition as far as I can tell. There's been some interest by some people, and there were 4 or 5 people at the planning board meeting. There was 1 person at the town board meeting, and that person got up and basically said, I'm not opposed to it. I just want to know what's going on the site. I want to know what it's going to look like. So that's where we are in the process right now. We went through the town board process. They have not made a decision yet, and what they are going to do when they do make a decision is hopefully change the zone to the garden apartment district, and that will allow this use. The town planning board, or planning staff, I should say, planning department, had asked us to kind of bifurcate the application, split it in 2. Usually you make your application for the change of zone and your site plan goes along with it. You kind of decide exactly what it is what you want on the property. What the town planning board, planning staff asked us to do was to split it. So make the application for the change of zone, get the change of zone in place, and then we are going to work on the details of the site. And the reason why that's significant is because we have a plan here. This is a black and white drawing here of what the building would look like. This here is a rendering, and Rob said it won't be green like that. But that's basically the look. It would be 3 stories. It will require a variance from the zoning board, which we haven't gotten yet. But the reason why we haven't gotten there yet is because what the planning department wants us to do now, once the zone, assuming the zone change is granted, is that we are going to be working with the planning board to kind of hone the site plan. So I don't want you I don't want you to think that this is what we are building, this is what we would like to build. I don't know what the town planning department is going to, what kind of comments they're going to have. They may have different thoughts. So I just want to caution you, look at this, and then if you find that, you know, a month or so down the road, or 2 months down the road, you say, that's not what I saw. I'm just telling you, this probably is not going to be what's going to be built there. But we haven't gotten through the process with planning. Yes?
It's one building with all the apartments?
The way it's proposed now, it was an L-shaped building is what we're looking to do, which is here, this would be the building, the sewage treatment, this is Jericho. This would be the entrance, the sewage treatment plant would be closest to Jericho Turnpike. You'd have parking, and you'd have parking around the building, but that's what we're proposing, a single building. I don't know what planning is going to require that we do. They may ask us to put it to 2 buildings, they may be okay with 1 building, they may want us to reconfigure the 1 building. I just don't know. We haven't gotten there yet. Yes?
And 3 stories would be a walk-up then?
No, it's elevated.
No,
Elevator.
It is elevated?
Yeah.
How many elevators, Marty?
Underground parking?
No, not underground parking,
It's not covered.
no.
Parking is not covered.
Not covered. It's around the perimeter of the building.
And it's 62 and over, 55.
55.
Right.
How many
sewer
parking
system-
spaces then?
Well, what we're showing here are 166 spots. Now, the planning board had placed a condition that they want 2 spaces per unit, which for this type of use, I do a lot of this, that seems pretty onerous, because quite frankly, if it wasn't age restricted, I would expect 2 cars per unit. But as an age restricted unit, you know, I don't know if it gets down to 1, it might get to 1.5, but it shouldn't be 2, because 2 would be non-restricted. So we're hoping that we're gonna end up with a number somewhere in the middle. Yes?
Excuse me, are you thinking that people 55 and over, if they marry, only have 1 car or 2?
No, I'm not implying that at all. But not everyone has 2 cars at that age. A lot of people do.
For the 1-bedroom units.
If there's a 1-bedroom unit, would you expect to have 2 cars? I don't think so. So, I mean, good, yeah. But for a 1-bedroom,
It's average, that's the average.
right, I mean, there may be people who live there by themselves.
Right.
That assumes everybody's married. So if somebody lives there by themselves in a 1-bedroom unit, would they have 2 cars?
But
Probably.
the visitors park.
Well, there'll be visitor parking included in this. That's included usually in the,
That's factored in.
it's factored into the calculation that there would be a certain amount of visitors.
I think that you have a problem with parking already.
Well, I mean,
Based on other residential areas I know where I have friends and relatives and clients, you're gonna have a problem. That's
Well,
what you're planning.
we will be looking at that because the town wants us to look at that. But, you know, this is almost self-enforcing because it's not like you could park in the streets in somebody else, in front of somebody else's house. If it doesn't work, you can't park on Jericho. So, you know, we have to make it work.
Right.
If it doesn't work, the whole development,
Well,
right, it won't succeed. Yes?
It's supposed to be ground level. The whole entire project is going to be ground level as per Jericho Turnpike. So you have to remove all of that.
dirt and sand.
Marty, you want to comment on that exactly?
The whole site will
Marty's the architect, by the way.
The
Marty
whole
Casante.
site will not be excavated, just because we have about a 60-foot buffer around the back. So just the way we're building the pumps, and then we're also going to use topography to put the building into the mountain, so that, you know, we're using that to our favor. So we'll slope up slightly. So it's not going to be completely flat, no.
When you say you put the building into the hill,
Yeah,
you have your parking going around there.
right, so you're going to drive up and around it, so.
So there will be a buffer of the
Right.
street, and you'll have your.
Yeah, right now, there's a required 60-foot setback off the rear property line.
50 foot.
No, it's
How
60
far are the
foot.
original buildings?
60.
Excuse me. The original buildings that are there now, how many feet are they from?
From the building,
From our
property?
Yeah.
Well, they're a lot closer than that, they're probably like 30 feet. Our building's gonna be 110 feet from the property line.
From Jericho Turnpike?
No, rear property line, we're talking about the rear
That's
property.
foot.
Yeah. So, our building's
110 feet.
110 feet to the building. 60 foot is to the, actually to the road that rides around the back. Because otherwise you need a,
Okay, so 60 foot to the road and then another
and
50
there's
feet
another
approximately.
40 right to the building, correct.
There are no terraces, there's nothing.
Balconies? Yes, there will be balconies. Certain units have balconies, not every unit does. There's 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. 1 bedrooms are approximately 675 square feet, 2 bedrooms are approximately 1,000 square feet.
Any sort of clubhouse or anything like that?
We have a community,
4,800 square foot
community building next to a pool.
Pool to inside or outside?
An exterior.
It's right here. It's shown here on the side.
And where was that?
Well, it's not really, it's not a clubhouse, it's a community building.
Right, a community
It's a
building.
small building here next to the pool.
Next to the pool?
Yeah, there's not enough room for a
No, we have a
clubhouse.
community space in the main building as well.
Yeah, in the main building,
On the first
down,
floor.
oh, there's community room. Right,
Yeah.
so right over here is 4,750 square feet of community center space. And then in addition to that, we have a pool and a small
In case
clubhouse.
somebody want to have a party or something on the pool, you have a building out there.
And as far as the concern about the parking, the way these are laid out, 76 one-bedrooms and 42 two-bedrooms. So the chances are with the one-bedroom units that at least it'll be a split between 1 and 2 cars. So we feel like average-wise, we're gonna be fine.
Yes.
You have, along that south side of your property, as you go down Jericho Turnpike, there's a quite extensive retaining wall that's been put up on a different piece of property. When you address that, holding that retaining wall back, you said 2 tiers, I think.
Yeah, I believe it's
Yeah.
10 feet.
Yeah.
We're only, right, Marty?
Yeah, we're only 10 feet tall and two tiers of 10 feet.
That's how we're using the slope of the property
Right.
to avoid that
Yeah,
unsightly
that
retaining wall
retaining wall is
that
gonna
you're
be
referring to.
Now, is that
25
done,
feet or
is
something.
that, are those requirements done as the town requirement? Or is it your proposal and then it'll be adjusted as time?
It actually, we were thinking along those lines, but I can tell you that the town planning staff feels like they got burned by that retaining wall that you're
Okay.
referring to.
Right.
And so they made it clear to us that they don't want that. So they want us to have a tiered and more natural slope, so that it's not all wall. So they were, that's the example that they used, was that wall that you're
That
talking about.
wall will never fall.
But they'll never, no.
It may not look as attractive as everybody's like. I mean, even if they take it one piece out every other line,
Right.
but that wall will never fall.
Okay.
No.
You know?
But my partner gave you wouldn't have, you would also wouldn't see this from the road when you drive by. This is all gonna be.
This is all back here.
It's all back here. So
Right.
then the building's gonna be
Actually, the
blocking
only people who see the wall will be the residents of this.
You still have to worry about the wall, you just have to worry about that angle.
Yeah.
That the people who live on Astor don't have a surprise that it's suddenly.
Oh, no, it'll be proper, listen, you could do it multiple ways, you could do one large wall that might be unsightly, or you could do step walls, but it'll be engineered, it'll be properly
And
engineered.
the wall doesn't start till 60 feet off that rear, like property line, so it's right around 60 feet off that.
Right.
So it's
And this
not-
is gonna be a 100% rental community?
Yes, all that.
Yeah.
And is there,
Not condos, rentals.
No, not condos.
and is there like a future thought that it's gonna go co-op or something like that?
No. No, this was, we constructed this in terms of the idea of bringing everything together was to have, look, on the South Shore, there are multiple communities that are rental for 55 and older, and they're very successful. And there is not much of that product up here, if any, in this general area, where you can, walk out of the house, close the door, and you don't think about anything. And that's a nice thing for people to have in that area. are, would love to have something like that in this area, so.
Is it gonna be a gated community? Is it gonna be gated?
No.
We can't gate it off of Jericho.
No, I didn't think you
Well,
could.
yeah. But it will be, it'll be nicely landscaped up in the front, and, I would think that if people are driving by, they're not gonna accidentally turn in here. I think you're gonna have to know that, it's there, so.
You guys gonna have to put traffic lights on Jericho for that?
No.
So the people making a left turn, go ahead and west, they're gonna make a left into there?
There are 3 lanes on
She'll
Shore.
be able, I can tell you, the answer is there's no plan for a traffic light. We don't believe that it's gonna be warranted, but this whole application is gonna ultimately be reviewed by the state DOT. So, they'll determine whether one's
So
needed
the
or
state has to approve it as well?
not. Yeah, we're on state road. 20 Jericho Turnpike is a state highway, so this application will absolutely be reviewed by the New York State Department of Transportation.
First, thank you very much for coming. It's very
Thanks for having us.
really. I'd like to know a couple of issues around this. The pool, is it going to be solar heated? How big is it? Are there going to be places for people to, if they want to change their clothes down there, to do that?
Well, there's a little clubhouse facility where, we didn't really designate it as a changing for clothes, but I imagine there'll be
Bathrooms there?
Yes, there'll be bathrooms.
Okay.
And as far as the size of the pool, Marty?
I didn't pick a size out yet, I'm thinking like, what's gonna be by 80?
It's gonna be functional,
Not an Olympic size pool,
There'll
but
be,
enough so that,
a patio around it.
Right.
Right.
To sit and relax, yeah.
And have you thought about solar panel, for it to heat it?
we could definitely contemplate using solar somewhere in the building, because we've been using that in all the apartment buildings we've been doing lately, quite successfully, so.
And tell me how you're going to handle the garbage? How does that, I don't know how, in a 3-story, how do you do that? Do they have garbage cans? They have a chute? or
They
what?
typically have a chute coming down to a central location that's usually either a refrigerated or air conditioned, until they, get it out, put it in a dumpster, and be privately carted, I'm assuming, yes.
So who takes it out?
A private carting company.
No, but how do you take it out of the building, from the chute?
Well, this building's gonna have to have some sort of.
Yes, there'll be
people on
a
staff
porter,
that
or,
maintain it.
someone to,
And they live in the property?
no,
So it's not like New York City where they have
yes, but they would come every day and, do the maintenance and.
Well, you would have somebody on the property continuously, wouldn't you, 24 hours a day? A
No.
maintenance man or something of that nature?
We would have 24-hour maintenance service, yes, but we're not gonna have someone living on the property.
Okay.
It's, yes.
There's presently a project that's coming out of Wisconsin that's been languishing for 20 years. What is your projected time, barring that you don't have any real ballots with planning or variances or ZBA or the cesspool?
Well, where we are in the process, as I mentioned, was that we're waiting for the town board to make a decision. The town board can't make its decision until this town's Department of Environment and Waterways makes what they call a seeker, state environmental quality review recommendation. That has not happened yet, so that's kind of what's holding us up. Once we get to that part, I think it'll probably be a month after that, within which we'll be working with, Marty in particular, the architect, will be working with the planning staff to try to revise the site plan to something that they feel is, what they'd like to see there. Once we have that, then we're gonna apply to the zoning board. There's no point in applying to the zoning board right now, because we really don't know exactly what we're building. So, and we know that it's gonna be 3 stories, so we could ask for that, but if ultimately we needed some dimensional relief, or we needed some parking relief, then we'd have to go back. So what we wanna do is kind of fine tune the site plan, and once we are in agreement with the town, then we'll go to the zoning board. So you're still looking at a couple of months, unfortunately, for Rob. I know he'd like to move along, but we're kind of stuck here. Yes?
It seems that you're going to have, people putting their garbage down the chute. Isn't that generally a draw for cockroaches? Every apartment building that ever had garbage go down the chute, including one I've been living in, drew cockroaches. Only in the outdoor garbage cans.
Unfortunately, bugs and you have a dumpster area, there's, you know, if you maintain it and you have regularly scheduled pest inspections done, and the property is taken care of and maintained, it really shouldn't be that big of an issue. Were you in the city for that one?
No, I was in a village on the line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing it in Huntington right now, we haven't had, so
Yeah,
far,
I think-
had a problem. The technology is different now, with the chutes that they make, and the fact that it's gotta be refrigerated keeps, keeps the smell and everything down.
I'm on 41 Astor Court. We had a terrible, terrible problem with the rat population going back a few years ago. And I got on it with everybody and anybody. It was so bad. To the point that I even chopped down fruit trees in my backyard because the rats were feeding on them. There was a drought at that time, go back 5 or 6 years ago. When you go into those woods, when you take those woods down, rats, besides like dwellings, also like country living. And they're in there, they'll be in there. So there will be a little population explosion when you start digging.
Yeah, but keep in mind, though, that one of the requirements for the demolition of the existing buildings is that we have from the county health department what we call, a rat letter. It's basically a letter that the health department has gone in and inspected the site, determined that there's no infestation of rats and other vermin.
No.
And that letter's only good for, I think, either 7 days or 10 days max. I think it might be 10 days. After that, you need to get a new letter. So in other words, once you get that letter, then the demo has to happen quickly. So they will come on and we will have, exterminators that go there before the county because we don't want them to find an infestation.
I don't think there is an infestation now in the dwellings. What I'm worried about is the woods.
Right.
And you do have a good piece of woods there.
The woods, 30 feet from the edge of the home.
From
30
the
feet from the edge of the property line is
Yeah.
not being disturbed
Yeah, we can't
at all.
disturb it.
Well, you can't disturb
So
Yeah, we
30
can't
feet
disturb that
of
at all.
woods won't be disturbed at all.
So everything behind that house, everything behind that house is going to
is
stay.
from
It's
30
gonna
feet,
stay.
from 30 feet won't be disturbed.
Right. It's actually a total of 60, right? We have to
Yeah.
supplement the 30,
Yeah.
and then we have to.
And then we have to
create a new one that's
revegetate
30.
the other
So
30.
you guys are up,
60.
whoever's up here, you'll have that.
We'll have 60 feet, and then, yeah, that's it.
With that.
Yes.
Are these going to be rentals, or will people buy them, are they co-ops?
Rentals. Rentals.
Oh, total rentals?
Total rentals, right.
Is it gonna be market rate rentals, or is it gonna be low-income rentals, or?
No, it's market rate.
Yes.
How long will the leases be for?
Oh, I don't know.
2, 3 years?
Typically, apartment buildings are 1 year, maybe 2. They wouldn't be longer
So
than
you
that.
have a lot of transitions going on.
Not necessarily, we always, if it's a good tenant, we always offer everyone renewals. And, it just, for the purposes of running an apartment building, you don't do long-term leases, they're usually.
Will there be incentives for renewal funds?
It depends, I can't, it's very hard for us to say what the market conditions will be at that time, but I think we'll have a pretty good demand here, and it's gonna be a nice product, so it will be okay. Yes.
So how are you attracting seniors? Because I haven't heard anything particularly, marketing them. So I remember my mom was down in the when they built she was a condo. They actually had like an emergency alarm in case you needed something, and that was part of the built-in stuff. I thought that was fabulous. As a daughter, I thought it was fabulous.
Sure, and we're certainly not at that stage yet to, we have basic amenities set up.
Yeah, I got you.
Once we have the green light, then we'll start setting up a marketing plan. And certainly, there are certain items that will come into play.
Have you thought about, because it's 55 and over, walk-in tubs, walk-in showers, no steps to get into apartments? You're talking
I
about
can answer that.
population
Yeah,
that's-
when we do apartments in the state of New York, anytime you build anything over 4 apartments, it has to be handicap adaptable.
and it will
So,
be-
yeah, so you have, every apartment is handicap adaptable.
Okay.
So they will have larger doorways, the tubs, grab bars. You'll notice even the bathrooms are set up differently where the toilet is set up so that there's a grab bar on each side of the toilet. So, yeah, that's law now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any pricing yet as to what to rent for?
Yes, so as far as pricing, again, subject to market conditions at the time. We're looking at what other communities are renting for and kind of trying to base it off that a little bit, because this is unique in that it's 55 and over in this, in this area. And typically we see those units anywhere from $1,550 to $2,450, depending upon the size and what it is. But then, as far as no taxes, no common charges,
Yeah, straight rental.
yes.
On the sewer system, we know, you explained how the bulk is going to be compacted and held for a certain amount of days. But what happens to the liquid? The liquid goes into a holding tank, it's going to be treated and then held out, and then pumped out at a later date?
You know what, I don't know. There are different systems and they're constantly changing. There are systems that the county, the health department approved, and some of them weren't working so well, so now there's some new systems. We're trying to figure out exactly what system we're going to go.
It's going to have to, you have 100 some odd apartments, it's going to be quite a bit of liquid.
It is.
I think basically, I mean, you get to a point where you can almost drink the glass. of
Yeah,
water
it becomes
coming out.
gray. It becomes gray, just gray water.
Right.
Yeah, it's treated, but then
Process down.
it's going to be pumped out, unless you're going to put it down in the ground. You're not going to do that.
Well, some of it leaches, the
I think
the
it
leaching
will
does
leach.
leach, because there's a very, very significant leaching field. And, you see a buffer area around the plant is relatively small, but the health department requires that you have a significant area set back from any buildings or any property line.
But that's off Jericho.
That's off Jericho, right. It's down kind of like in that, where it kind of drops down there.
But there's also another little piece of property.
Right. So I know that there's, again, I'm not an engineer, but I do know from what I do this work, I always hear them talk about these leaching fields. But I do believe there is some holding that also takes place, and from time to time, they do get pumped out. I don't know if Mark,
Solid waste.
the solid waste gets pumped
Okay,
out at
that's-
some point. But it does get processed
Yeah.
and cleaned, the water, and then they leach it back into the ground.
Yes.
There's a preschool for.
Two at a time.
That's through the
Two
time.
at a time. Is that going to be affected in any way?
No, not at all.
Because there's going to be a big buffer there.
Yes, this is, I'll show you here. Go back to this. So this is our building, this is the roadway in between, and then there's the buffer, and then there's the elevation, and then there's the tutor type. So it's a significant buffer, they won't be affected.
Basically, two at a time is almost about 150 to 200 feet away.
Right.
Have you guys built any other communities like this on Long Island?
Not 55 and over, no, but built apartments and shopping centers.
Where are the other apartments?
Westchester, done Westchester, Valley Stream, we're just hopefully getting approval on another 40 unit job in Floral Park right now, and multiple retail sites across this area, Westchester,
And if
Queens.
you do this as an over 55, what does that do to the tax burden for like the school districts? You have to make a deal with the school district or something?
No, I mean,
No, that's
wonderful.
it's no burden on the
It's
schools.
no burden, it's exactly what the school districts want.
But are you getting an abatement on taxes from the school
No,
district?
you're paying
or-
full market rate and no burden on the schools. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like there was a development they built in Huntington called the Greens, and I think they had an arrangement, being that it was over 55, they got an abatement on taxes because they weren't going to be using the school district. So is that something that's going to be part of this, or that's not?
That hasn't come up, I don't know.
Hope I didn't give you any idea.
I don't think the school district here will do that. No, I don't think the school
We're
district
not,
will
we're
make
not
that
looking
deal.
for any tax breaks or assistance or anything like that.
You say you don't want assistance, but the people on Astor Court might need assistance. There's going to come a time when you're digging, and those houses facing the north are going to be totally covered in the
Oh,
back
God,
of
the
the church.
dust and all, yeah, that's.
I can guarantee that.
Yeah. What about the dust in our houses?
So again, we go straight uphill.
I know,
Obviously,
I know.
they're, if it's a.
But we'll go,
maybe
see, we'll
dust.
go because of two at a time. We went through
Yeah,
two at a time.
We had construction back there before.
So we know what's
and
gonna
were
happen.
Covered.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have silt fencing and do anything that the code requires and, do the best we can to mitigate that, but unfortunately, that's just a.
If I need somebody to help out, again, I'm going to go to the superintendent or somebody and talk to them then.
Yes, you would be someone on site all the time.
Maybe it gets hosed down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of times they wet,
It's simple,
they hose it
money
down,
has to be
keep
spent.
dust down,
Yeah,
right?
it's comfortable.
Yeah, yes.
You opened a community in Valley Stream, did you say?
I did one in Valley Stream, small job.
How many
Yeah.
apartments?
10 apartments and 5,000 square feet of retail.
And how long ago was that done?
We just did it. I mean, a year.
Are you gonna restrict children from living in these
It is age restricted.
It's age restricted, yeah, but you can't, you
Yeah,
can't.
but people
You can't.
55 have children.
Yes, you
No,
can't.
no,
You won't be able to, you won't be able to do that by law, you cannot do that.
right, then you
So
can't
they,
restrict.
so the children cannot live
It's-
in these apartments?
No, you cannot discriminate you can only discriminate based on age, fortunately for us, that if it's 55 and older or 62 and older. You can't discriminate on other ages. So that's why you can't say to somebody, yeah, I know you're 58 years old, but you have a child, therefore you can't live here. That's illegal.
So
So,
you could have
it's
children
possible.
from this
It's
development
possible,
coming
but-
into
but-
this.
You know, our experience has been, and again, I don't know what Rob's been, my experience, when I've done some age-restricted developments, very, very few kids, it's rare. Very frankly, you know, if somebody brings a child there, they're the only child there, or maybe there's one or two, and it's an odd arrangement. It's not really where you want to bring your child. So, it's unlikely.
Do you generally build and sell it to someone to rent out, or do you maintain it and keep it yourselves and rent it out?
It depends. Again, it's, you know, we're investors, we're businessmen. We like to hold real estate. You know, I can't make a guarantee that if we build it and, you know, rent it out, that we wouldn't turn around and sell it. But there shouldn't be a need for it at the time. And, you know, my partner and I are, you know, youngish, so we're in for the long haul. So we'd like to build up a portfolio, and, you know, that's the business plan, to hold.
Okay.
And you already own the land, you have already bought it? now?
We're in contract.
Oh, you're in contract?
Yes, and we, once we get the approvals, we'll close.
Well, God forbid what would happen if you didn't get the approval. What would you do? You'd be stuck with this property
Well, no, we're in
No,
contract, it's
he's in
subject to
contract.
approval.
Contingent
Other
contract.
to the last moment. Okay.
That's right.
And you guys are capitalized enough to build the project from start to finish? You're not gonna get halfway done, run out of money, and then it's gonna be left?
No, so it's a good question, actually. So this type of project is going to be, with the land acquisition, either side of $20 million to do. No, I can't write a check for $20 million today, but what we have is the ability to close on the project, get the process started, bank relationships, and a deal of this size is what's considered almost institutional. There's absolutely no worry about getting money for it.
Particularly for rentals.
Yes, it's
The market financing is very strong for rentals. Condos, not so great.
Well, there have been several projects that people started, got halfway done, and now they just boarded up eyesores, you know?
Those are not apartment rentals, what you've seen, and I don't know about
There's
any of
commercial
them, but I would
buildings.
guarantee that do not, yeah, this is an apartment building, and you never see apartment buildings that for rent outside of maybe what's going on in Brooklyn, you know, get stuck midway. It's usually condo developments, and that's why we stayed away from it, because if the bottom falls out of the market, that's when construction stops. Because all of a sudden, you're dumping all this money and the market fails, and you know, you can't sell the units. So that's why we did it as a rental.
From getting the okay from the town to the finished product, what are you looking at, a year and a half?
18 months probably, Marty, right?
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair estimate.
And you guys are local? You're local?
Yes, we're both from the Huntington area. Our office is in Woodbury.
I lived right up behind there. I lived on Churchill, at Churchill Lane, for about 27 years.
Do you have any questions for the audience?
No, thank you for having us. I mean, you know, we would certainly welcome some ideas in the future as we get, you know, closer to some of the amenities that you were referring to with the, you know, for 55 and over.
You've answered a lot of questions in regards to ASA court. And the pollution, you got that covered well, and the rodents and the time and the space between. But one thing is going to be bad too for the people in ASA court, it's going to be the noise. The noise going on for 18 months.
You know, the noise is mostly framing and site work.
Well, the bulldozers come in, they're gonna take that sand away.
Well, that's gonna be the site work, so that's, you know, as the sand, and I wanna focus on that for a second, that's not the intention, we're not looking to mine sand. That's why we're keeping it as you know, leveled out like that. But as far as the noise, sure, when they're cutting down the trees and, you know, moving the earth around, there's gonna be some noise. Once the framing is done and they close up, that's very quick. You'd be amazed how quickly this gets framed. And then once the framing's done, then they're inside until they do the roof and whatnot. So it's, you know, but there's gonna be noise.
From your lips to God's ear.
We'll do the best we can. And hopefully, at the end of the day, for you on Esther Court, that this would probably improve the value of your home, I would hope, over what's there now. Because I've been to what's there now.
No, I won't. There's a few.
Prior to settling on this site, did you have any other sites in mind prior to this?
We're always looking for opportunity.
But I'm saying, you know, can you tell me if there were any other sites available that you could have done this?
In Smithtown, or Comac Smithtown area? Not that we're aware of, not on this scale.
What's the rental process gonna be like? What are you guys gonna build it, and then it's gonna be like an open advertisement and?
Well,
general
again, that's
public?
going back to the whole marketing thing, you know, we'll see how it goes, but typically it'd be, you know, we have a process, yes, people would come in and first come, first serve, and obviously we're gonna make sure they're, financially viable tenants and whatnot, so.
You're
We anticipated that.
anticipating a good market for these apartments?
And the town,
We believe this will be leased up very, very quickly.
right, and so does the town, by the way. The town, you know, they mentioned in their approvals that, you know, there's a demand in the town for this type of product.
I think it's been
Doesn't
successful
exist
in Patchogue, right?
Yeah, I mean, on South Shore communities that have done it, you know, they have waiting lists. And there's no reason why this shouldn't be up here. This is a great area, so I think it'll do very well.
What hours do you actually work?
Pardon me?
What hours would you be working?
Construction?
Martin, there's a...
Yeah, there's I think the town of Smithtown, you can't start before 8 o'clock. Can't work on Saturdays unless you pull a special permit. I believe to like 5 o'clock.
I can't work on Sundays.
Yeah, you can't work on
Definitely
Sundays.
can't work on Sundays.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to work within the confines of the code. All right.
Can I ask, who's going to maintain these buildings? I mean, outside, you know, just like anybody's house, maintenance.
You're looking at it.
Not
And
you
I'm
personally.
not gonna be out there with a shovel myself. I'll be, you know, hopefully, you know, building some more stuff. But there's gonna be a full-time, at least one full-time employee, very likely 2 or 3. And they would be there maintaining, and we're gonna have contracts for, you have to do nothing. You literally move in.
You mean there'll be people like a plumber? You know, that's my concern as a person who lives alone.
When you rent, and in this community, you will have nothing to do but enjoy yourself and relax, so.
I'd like to see how this 675 square feet is going to look, because it sounds small to me.
It does, but you'd be surprised. It's more space than you think. Let's see if I have it in here, or it's on a small.
There's a floor plan on the plan. Smaller than
Just a small plan, or?
yeah.
Very small.
No. I could pass this around, but I can barely read it.
It wasn't good then.
But,
That might be an older one.
I'm just curious about that.
this is,
Yeah, Rob.
you have a bigger one, okay.
About the square footage is limited to the face of the sewage departments too. That's kind of why we have the.
Yeah, the reason why, I mean, ideally, if we could build whatever we wanted to, maybe we would want a one-bedroom to be 750 square feet. But we're limited here because of the flow for the sewage treatment plant. That's why this is the biggest we can make. So, I don't know if you guys can see it. This is a one-bedroom unit here. Enter, kitchen. This is a dining area, living room, bedroom, bathroom, laundry.
They also have their own laundry.
Oh, every unit has.
Every unit has a dryer, right.
That's very old. I don't want to run down to the basement.
No, no, everything is, except for when you want to go to the community center or to the pool, you have what you need in your apartment.
And who's going to maintain that outside?
That's
And all that?
building
One
owners.
person to do all
Yeah,
that?
so just if the pool needed to be marble dusted, let's say, and that's about $10,000. In a condo, there'd be an assessment for that, or you're paying common charges that will go towards that. Here, that doesn't happen, it's on us. So we have to underwrite all of our numbers based on what we see as expense. So that's, we can't come to the tenants and say, give us a few bucks for the pool. Anything else?
And look at the diagrams up here, so that they have a chance to look at it later. Would anybody like to look at that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
There's plans up here if you want to come.
There we go.
We're going to take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back to the business. Ladies, gentlemen. Okay. First, I'd like to welcome our visitors. You want to just tell us your name so we get to know you?
Charlie.
Charlie?
Oh, Chewy. It's Charlie.
Charlie, Chewy.
Chewy Charlie. I'm Mary.
Mary?
Joan,
Joan?
Kay,
Kay?
Debbie?
Julie.
Joan.
Joan?
Joe.
The rest of us I introduced earlier, and that's Faith and Nancy back there, and Irene, and Pat and Rich. And one of the projects that we've got going on is a cleanup day in Comac. Ed Michael has been doing that. If you'd like to help us participate in just on a Saturday or during the week, just a couple of hours, and you can get in touch with us or Ed. Just info@comaccommunityassociation.org. Another project that we've got going on has been ongoing for the last 4 years, trying to preserve the Marion Call Farm for the residents of Comac. There was something we wanted, the executive board wanted to discuss with you. During the process, for those of you who haven't followed this whole thing, it's been ongoing for the last 4 or 5 years. We originally asked the school board if we could use Marion Call for a community garden. And they told us that they had other plans. And we found out the other plans were to sell it to a developer. And we organized and opposed that, and the residents in a vote turned it down 2-1. And we went out and found some people who were willing to support a redevelopment of it, to make the house into a museum and to make use of the land for both community and private, a private company that had a horse equestrian center. And after we did that, we found out that just as they were going to write a contract for the purchase of the land from the school district, the heirs brought suit. And the school district then did not use the most advantageous legal argument in court to block the suit. The most advantageous being that it was beyond the statute of limitations to bring that sort of motion. You had to bring that within 10 years, and this had been 30 years already. And because of that, a couple of residents brought suit as residents to include that in the argument. The school district fought that and turned that down. And then there was a school board election, and one of the members elected to the school board questioned them about this legal stance that they had taken. And they decided then to go back to court and use that statute of limitations. I was at that hearing. It was an open hearing, and the judge said, and the judge denied it, and he said, if you had did this originally, we wouldn't be here now, meaning they already would have won. So far and the suit is still not settled. It's been, what, 4 years, Arthur?
Yeah, it was 12 when he sued, March of 12.
March of 2012, so it's 4 years at this point. Arthur, what's the status of that suit at this point? Arthur's been watching the courts.
Well, they're going to have oral arguments on Thursday.
This Thursday? Out in Riverhead?
Out in Riverhead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just see if I can get out there.
Are you going?
I'm going to try to, yes.
Is Vito going with you?
I don't know. He's gone.
Yeah. And do you know approximately what it's cost in legal costs at this point?
About $475,000.
In legal costs.
But you know, I think it costs $475,000, but the cost of the attorneys speaking to district personnel has to be twice that number, because of all the conferences and all the different things that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine that it's got to be well over $1 million.
Which would have been the cost of fixing it up.
Yeah, exactly.
The hearing that you went to, that the judge said this would have all been over if you would have used that defense, was there a stenographer there?
No, of course. What he said was, he didn't deny it at that point, but he said, had you brought this defense originally, we wouldn't be here now.
Be here discussing whether or not you could change, or
right,
being here that the case would be over.
My summation is that he was saying the case would be over.
Yeah, because
it
wouldn't be here.
Right, we wouldn't be here.
A 10-year thing is a very big law.
The what?
The 10-year? The 10-year?
The 10-year legal
Statute
of limitations. Oh, yes. Had they brought that originally, it would have been a slam dunk. It would have been over.
Okay.
And one of the things that came up in our discussions in the executive board was that during that time, if you remember, there was a local builder, who had said he thought he could get us $1 million from Walmart as a donation. And that fell through. But we needed a way to have some organization that could accept a charitable donation. We're a 501c4. We cannot accept a charitable donation. We are a civic association, a political association. We can bring political items before the public. A charitable organization can't do that. So I had met with a couple who are part of the Comac Rotary, Barbara and Fred Kruger, and an attorney who was interested, Steve,
He's with the,
yes,
Saracen.
Steve Saracen. Steve Saracen said he would put the papers in for a charitable organization called the Friends of the Marion Carl Community Farm, which would then be able to accept that donation as a charitable organization.
Well, either organization could accept the funds, it's just that the guy who's giving the funds wouldn't get the benefit of a tax deduction. There wouldn't be a tax write-off. So nobody's gonna give you, right, is that right? Nobody's gonna give you the money if they can't get it off their taxes.
Right.
There's a reason for it.
So you needed a 501c3.
501c3. After we had formed that, the deal with Walmart fell through. So we didn't have that. And then we looked around and it seemed that the Suffolk County Help for Retarded Children, AHRC, Association for Help for Retarded Children, wanted to put a small school on there and have the kids farm. And at that point, everything was on hold until this case was settled. Adele, Arthur, and Maureen had some questions. I'll let you say what you thought was questionable about that other organization. You had some questions about it.
With the farmers?
Well, it's a completely separate organization, which we never had anything to do with. I don't know what you think I should say about it. As far as that equestrian thing, according to Conic Land Trust, that's finished.
Oh, I forgot about the Conic Land Trust.
Yeah, Conic Land Trust got nowhere. They are calling the district on a weekly basis just to try to stay in touch with them, and nothing is happening.
A couple of months ago, we got a call from the Conic Land Trust saying that they were interested in getting involved with the Marion Carl Farm and preserving it.
Explain who they are.
Does everyone know who the Conic Land Trust are? They preserve farmland all over Suffolk County. It's a ongoing large organization, but their interest is not in holding the farmland, it's in preserving it and getting an organization to run it. So they were interested in working with us, and we had a meeting with them, and they've approached the school board with a proposal that they get started on this before the case settles, so that they can go ahead if it settles. And if it doesn't, if the heirs get it, nothing is lost. Just to get the use of the land, so it doesn't lay fallow. And so far, they've gotten nowhere.
Well, they wanted the property and they were turned down on that, and instead of that, they offered to be hired to tell them what could be done with the property. Such things as putting up a traffic light on Coming Road, but they never received an answer, and that's where they keep following it up, and James just doesn't talk to them. So that's it's going anywhere.
My understanding is that the Conic Land Trust is interested in maintaining anything historic on the land and making sure that it's open to the public and that it is run. Isn't that something?
Well, they're not interested in running it.
They're not interested in running it, but they're interested in seeing it continue, move on.
Yeah, but they're not interested unless they're going to get paid.
Well, but they have money. Don't they have money?
Sure.
And how do they use that money? They buy land.
They buy land.
So they can buy the land.
But they're playing this very close to the vest. They have not told us what their plans are, and anything more than what they've told Arthur and what they told us at this meeting.
Interesting.
So I don't know whether they've offered to buy the land from the school district or what.
Well, they said
Well, they're gonna get it for $1, what is that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
I think that's a little
that's
under
problem.
market
That
value.
didn't work at all.
So where we're at with these two organizations is the Friends of the Marion Carl Farm is open to membership from anyone who wants to join it. It's not closed at all. It's a separate legal organization from this organization because it needs to be a charitable organization in order to receive donations and give a tax write-off. I think that Adele, Arthur, and Maureen had reservations because the Comac Community Association would not be part of that, or they wouldn't be part of us.
But Vito and Adele were both at the meeting.
I'm a member.
They are members.
I'm a member.
Adele is a
But I have
member.
a question.
Sure.
In order to become a member, you had to pay $30 for your dues.
Right.
And you got a shirt.
Right.
Which I did.
Right.
What happened to that money that you collected?
It's sitting with the Huntington Historical Society who agreed to take it until we became a charitable organization.
Are we getting interest on that account at all?
Yeah, but you know what interest is today, we're talking about a couple $100, that's it. You know, it's in their savings account wherever it is.
Is it separate from?
It's a separate account for the Friends of the Comac Community Association. That is, I think if you remember, the checks were made out to the Huntington Historical Society for the benefit of the Friends of the Comac Community Association. I think that's the way it was made out. So Maureen?
Yeah, the problem I have is that all of the work was done within this room. There's many people who stood in front of meat farms, went to Sawmill, all the above, and that we, as a group, have an idea, and our idea is that the will be followed in entirety, and for the sake of the children, for exactly the way the will said, that it should be utilized for the sake of the children in Comac. And that's what Marion Carl put in her will in order to give it to us as a school district. And I think that needs to be followed. The suggestion was proposed that CCA / Friends of Marion Carl could be a new designation for a group, whether or not, I don't know if it fills all of those requirements to accept the donations, but I think if a lawyer has to be looked at and has to look at something like this, then we should take the time and trouble to do that.
Do we have money to do that?
We have, as of today, we have a little over $1,800.
Is that how you want us? Well, Steve is open. You can call Steve or have him come to a meeting, as a matter of fact. That might be worth it. And you know this shirt that you got it down?
Yes.
Bruce and I went out separately and paid for all our shirts. We spent our own money, $500, so we can raise money and have people join. We still have the shirts, because obviously in our basement.
They're still in the basement.
So, but I think, Maureen, what's real important is you need an organization that can accept money, and we, as this organization, cannot.
Well, we can't accept money, we can't
We can't give them the advantage
give
of
them
what.
the charitable
That's right.
donation.
It has to be a strictly, maybe, a goodwill effort for those people who may believe in the whole idea of Marion Carl.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Arthur?
Go ahead.
All the work that was done on the farm up to this point was all done by grants, and it's not necessary to have a 501c3 to get a grant and
All the grant meetings that I have attended are generally matching grants.
Yes.
There are some planning grants that the state will give you, but to actually get the work done, you need matching funds.
Right.
And the level at which this work has to be done, it needs some big donors. You know, I don't think we're gonna do it on $20, $30 a piece. we're not Bernie Sanders.
Arthur, you're absolutely right about, we went to we were so hot before, we thought after the vote, we were gonna get this far.
Yeah, I was at the meeting you were at.
Right, so then Bruce and I look at the regulations, and you have to have the ownership
Right.
of the land.
That's
So-
the same reason the county thing didn't work out
Right,
with Kennedy.
right.
Right. So we've been stymied every which way.
It's just, I think the thinking, my thinking personally, without anybody else, I'm not on that committee, that particular Marion Carl committee. My thinking is that if you are all the horses that are going out there and pursuing this issue, that it has to be followed to the letter of the law, to the things that you all worked for in order to get that vote that basically said, this will not be sold. And I think we have to stay with that. And,
Well, nobody's saying.
I would love to see it exactly the way Marion Call wrote it. But I don't want to see the good be a enemy of the perfect. We may not be able to get it as that perfect kind of thing where it's going to be solely the way Marion Call asked for it in her will. It may have to be a compromise. If we can find a way to do it perfectly, that's great. I just haven't seen that kind of path that would allow us to have it be totally publicly owned, self-sustaining, and the ability to maintain and rebuild that house and those structures. We're probably looking at the tune of $1 million or $2 million. And without some sort of big donations, that doesn't happen.
My fear is that we're gonna lose this case. I mean, this.
Not us, the Board of Education.
The Board of Education to the heirs, after all our work. I mean, I understand, we stood in the rain. We were in front of the post office, they moved us along because we had to be in a certain stretch.
But I think that we ought to make some plans, because, as Arthur said, there's a hearing this Thursday, so some sort of decision should be forthcoming.
I personally, I think that the district is going to end up with the farm.
What time is the hearing?
I think it's 9.
The farm's owned by the school district.
Any of the members have any questions about this?
You know, I compare it with Hoyt Farm, and I think, you know, how wise Mrs. Hoyt was leaving it to Smithtown. And to,
Yes.
you know, and how beautifully that's been maintained.
Yes.
And, you know, this is just such a, total
I
waste.
think Marion Cole wanted to leave it to Huntington and they didn't want it.
Well, it was when they were trying to negotiate with somebody to take it, the school board was trying to do that.
Yeah, that was
And
after
she had
the Bosse's
educational
walked off
purposes
of
in
it.
mind,
Yeah.
so.
They tried to give it to Huntington, and Huntington only wants a park. They don't want any buildings, they don't want anything to maintain, they just want a park.
They just
That's
had a
not
house, a
true.
historical house.
They said they would take it as a park as long as there was another entity, like
Running the farm.
Friends of the Farm, that would maintain it and run it, so.
Yeah, we can go back to Huntington. By the way, also no, Will, she said that the school district did not want it, that it would go to the town of Huntington. Because it's not in Smithtown, it's in Huntington.
Well, it would just revert to the heirs. I didn't know.
No, in the will, it said if the school district did not want to
Would
take
go to
it,
Huntington?
it would go to the town of Huntington. And the school district did take it. And then, when
Renee,
Bosse's
no,
left,
yeah.
they asked Huntington to take it off their hands, and Huntington said no.
Men didn't want it.
Right.
Well, I think you and David and Dan were at a meeting with Mr. Patron.
Yeah, not
And he
true.
said, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, he said he would take it
Yeah.
as long as there was an entity like Friends of the Farm or
Well,
something
I think
that
that-
would run it and maintain it.
That might, draw some more conversation with him. I mean, but with the premise that it try to stay as true to that will as possible. I don't think we should give up on this. I wouldn't want to think that I was taking out my will and wanted a specific way. And then everybody would say, you know, well, she knows, she's not here anymore.
Yeah, but there was more to it than just that, because there was something in the will that said if you don't use it as a learning center, then make a library or make whatever. So there was other options for it, and it wasn't specifically a museum or a
No, there
farm.
were five codicils, there were five, it wasn't options, there were 5 things in the will.
They're all
it could be.
educational purposes.
Educational purposes, a
library.
had to have a Marion Call name on it. There were 2 others, but it was specified exactly how it had to be.
But it did say also it could be a library or something like that on it too.
No, I don't think.
Not it could be, there was no could be's. There were 5 specific codicils, I don't have it with me, it's been 4 years.
Well,
All the exact things that she requested.
Yes, there were 5 exact things. The last one being you had to have the Marion, have to have the call name on it. And that's the only one that the school district has lived up to. Does have the call name on it.
So what follows after discussions this week? How far away are we from a resolution?
Well, we have to see what the judge says.
Yeah.
This should
When is
be
the
resolved
judge-
after this.
This
Or
Thursday?
these
After
oral
these
What
arguments.
were the discussions between?
No, it's all arguments.
Judge.
School district and the heirs.
The
The lawyers, the school district, and the lawyers for the heirs.
The school district filed the motion, and the heirs are now going to go to court and argue why they shouldn't
right, but just,
get the bond based on that motion.
But you said, well, so this is a really head court.
Yeah.
Yes.
the judge would make a determination, but not at that moment.
No, he's not going to make it in court.
I'm sorry.
Right, it'll take some time after that.
Well, by our next meeting, which is the 18th of April, maybe he'll have made his determination, or
Yeah,
maybe not.
could take longer than a month, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
I mean, and I think taking into consideration his thoughts on the matter would be very important to us to know whether or not we need to go ahead and look for some plan of some sort, and whether or not we're trying to run it, or whether we're looking for grants, or whatever it will take. I think we've gone 2/3 of the mile. I think we should put in 1 more third to just see if we can get to our goal. I mean, you know, the one thing that, and you've all been in this room a number of years, the one thing we need to meet are some of the goals that we set out in front of us. Because if we don't, why are we here?
If the school district does win, in order to sell it, legally, they have to have a vote of the residents. It reverts to them as property. Now, I don't know whether or not, how the judge will rule, or whether or not the will will still be enforced, or any of it, but I have a feeling that the school district's gonna try to sell it again, and we're gonna be up for a fight again. So this is not over yet.
I have a question.
Adele?
On February 28th, 2011, I believe you had stated it was Kings Park and Comac Rotary was going to hold an essay contest to raise money as fundraiser for Marion Cole Farm with a $100 prize to the winner. Whatever happened to that? Nothing ever happened. I never heard anything further. I have nothing in my notes about what happened.
I'll have to check with the Rotary.
This was 2011.
I understand. That's 5 years ago. I know, I don't remember offhand. I'd have to check with the Rotary and see what happened.
Okay. And my suggestion perhaps is, next, when we did the, handed in the petitions for signatures on November 17, 2011.
Right.
We had
2,000
plus,
Right.
2,200 plus signatures that we collected.
Yeah, we still have copies of those petitions.
Right. And even if we had asked everybody to give us $10,000, it would have been over $22,000 we would have collected, and we could have had possibly a grant to match
It's a
that.
lot
Or
easier.
sometimes it's not even.
It's a lot easier to get people to sign a petition than it is
But
to hand over $10.
we had people at the time who were saying, you know, can we give money? We said, well, you can, but, you know, we weren't collecting money, we had no way of doing it. But there were people at the time.
I understand.
You know, so we never put it out there, you know, and there's perhaps maybe a sponsor we can get who could help, you know.
Well, that's why I said, we need to have that committee reconstituted, the Marion Call Farm Committee, and come up with a plan, what happens next.
Yeah, but I think what happened was that organization diluted what we were doing as our own, as CCA.
Okay, here's where we disagree. I think that organization was not diluting, but was helping in this.
We didn't even know what was going on, so how?
You got a memo.
Wait.
You got a memo.
Everyone got an email. You even showed me a copy of the
He was
email.
not able to send me an email
Everyone-
for the first 3 years.
everyone got-
Started on doing it.
Everyone I could possibly write to got an email that said, this is being formed, please come and help.
Yeah, I remember.
And that was up to everyone individually. I gave you the reason I formed it was to have a charitable organization to accept and give people the ability to write it off on their taxes, which we needed. We can't do that. And I don't see it as being diluting, I see it as helping us to reach this goal. That was my idea, yes.
I'm going to change the subject a moment.
Go ahead.
Marion Call School is legally in Huntington.
Marion Call School is no more
The farm.
existing.
We're talking about the
The farm is,
The farm is-
Marion Call Farm.
The Marion Call Farm is in the township of Huntington.
Okay. Why are we, Comac residents, being involved with this? Are there Huntington people gathering to create a decision?
Comac is half, well, there's 5/8 Smithtown residents and 3/8 Huntington residents. The town is cut by Town Line Road.
Yeah.
Some people in Comac are on the Smithtown side, and some people are on the Huntington side. Like right now, I guess we're sitting in
10.
Huntington.
This is Huntington.
the Huntington, but are we in Comac School District right here?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're in the Huntington Township in this Comac School District right now, where you sit. So Comac is
our
Are
split.
organization-
Huntington residents ever involved with this?
Yes.
Who is the?
Vito is involved.
Dan is from Huntington.
Right.
Vito was
I'm
from
on the
Huntington.
Huntington side of Comac also.
Okay.
So we have members from both towns who are Comac residents.
East Northport is part of our District 10. When you go north of Jericho Turnpike, on that left side that goes probably as far as Larkfield Road. This whole area here, you have people down in Dix Hills.
But are there other meetings with those people that are further away?
It's not, no.
They all belong.
Our organization
It's all of Comac.
represents
Yeah.
both Huntington and Smithtown Comac residents.
Anybody with 11725.
All 11731.
Right.
Right.
So the Comac School District, whatever is encompassed by the Comac School District, you can come to this organization. So you could be in 11725 or 11731.
Like the Huntington historian was involved in it, and, you know, I mean.
And Northport, Northport people come down.
Yeah, so
You're on one edge down there. If you're all on Astor Court, I think it'll go, I don't know if it's to Cornell, which is the dividing point, where the district, some houses are partially in Smithtown and some in Comac, so they pay taxes.
And one of our concerns would be to make sure that all of Comac residents have access to the farm
Yeah.
if we can preserve it.
Even if.
So it wouldn't just be
Huntington
Huntington residents.
For what
Yeah.
purpose? To use it, to walk through it?
No, to have,
To make it like a Hoyt Farm Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
Hoyt Farm.
There are
10
also,
acres.
Is that a central
There are
location,
also
like for
people in
Memorial Day,
Smithtown.
or
There's
Fourth
a,
of July, to have
uh,
barbecues,
Okay.
you know?
There's
we
a
have very
barn,
little in
there's a
common.
barn on the property that was built in
It's
1600s.
the oldest milk farm. There's a milk barn there. There's a milk barn. That's the oldest with that intact on Long Island.
it was also rebuilt under a BOCES grant in the 70s?
In the 90s.
Left in the
In the
90s.
90s? In the 90s?
In the 90s, the school district spent the $500,000 and they got a matching $500,000 grant to rebuild the barn. So they spent $1 million to rebuild it, and then they used it for like 4 years, and then they just boarded it up, and it's been sitting there for 20 years.
And Vito noticed that they put a tarp on top, I don't think
That's the house.
on the house, because,
And the house is on the National Historic Register.
Well, they can't touch that.
oh, yes, they can.
Well, that's what they've been doing, not touching it, so that it's all down.
Unfortunately.
That's what I meant.
And they can have like records in there. We went in, we walked through. There are books and books and books. And they can have like Civil War, not memorabilia, but, you know, correspondence or whatever.
Records.
The district never did anything. Never did anything.
So, Bruce, during the election season, we had the council guys from the town of Huntington here.
Yes.
The guy's name is Cook, Eugene.
Cook.
And he said he was interested in helping.
Yes.
And also the Breland woman said she was interested in helping.
Breland.
So that's 2 out of the 3. So if we could maybe open up the conversation with those
We
two
need one more
again.
vote.
Yeah, and
Trump.
if we can get you know, some more people to listen. I mean, they seem to want to help.
Right, but there's nothing to be done until this
But
case
you have to
is
have a
settled.
plan in place if we do.
Yes,
If we can get them to commit to, upon this thing being, going in the favor of the school district, then at least we know where to go next. Right now, we don't know what to do next. So I don't know, my personal opinion is we should reopen the line of communication with the council members, maybe another couple of meetings,
Okay.
and see if they're
See
interested.
what we can do.
That's what the consensus of everybody else wants to do. I don't know what the plan is for everybody else, what they have.
Well, I'd first like to have a meeting with the committee that worked on Marion Call Farm, and see what they want to plan.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Any other member items?
I have a question.
Adele?
We're trying to get Patron to agree to help us on this. We're not doing it the way we should. Patron listens to his residents. If we get a lot of Huntington residents to fight to save Marion Call, not through the school system, but just to get, hey, we want to save this as part of our history, Patron might go along with it. We're not dealing, we don't go to them at all. We're not approaching them at all. Approaching council people. But if their constituents are for it, they will fight for it also. That's the way to go about it. So,
Well, I can only tell you my experience with the new highway, when we tried to get the trucks off New Highway in front of the schools. We put flyers in every single mailbox on New Highway and said that we would go down to the town meeting and try to get these trucks off that road. That's in front of their houses.
New highways.
New highway.
You don't mean
Not New Highway,
Connex Road.
Town Line Road.
Town Line.
Sorry, Town Line Road.
Right.
We put flyers in every single house on Town Line Road
Nobody can.
and said, you know, we would go down to the Huntington meeting to represent them, please come. You know, at this date, here's where the meeting is, here's what time it is, and everything. Not one person came.
But one person came to this meeting because I spoke to him
Gene.
in another place.
It was Gene.
Gene.
And then he
And
moved.
he moved out of Right.
Yeah, but that was it. It was, like, can you imagine, Bruce and I walked the entire, 150?
Yeah, you know, it's not easy to get people to do anything with the government.
And it's their
Especially because
interest.
Huntington has a million other historic houses too, that, you know, up by the.
Well, I don't think that's the reason that people have for not.
No, but I'm saying.
I just gave the example of Town Line Road, and this was affecting them directly, you know, it was these
Yeah.
trucks coming up the road, 18-wheel trucks, shaking their house, and not one came to the meeting. So what could our expectation be of getting residents
To be interested in marrying Carl, probably not.
to write to their, or to come to a meeting about that?
Not to a meeting, have them come down and protest it, tell them.
Well, the first,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Adele, if we could do that,
well, the first thing is public awareness.
Love
This guy says he's been here since, what, the 70s? And he didn't even know there was a farm. So I'm sure, not to embarrass him, but I'm sure 95% of the people who live in Comac don't even know that farm exists.
Exactly, when we're doing the petitions,
Right.
90% of people
Right.
don't know, unless they were as kids or their kids worked
Correct.
on the farm
Yeah.
and knew about it.
So, you know, there's got to be a public awareness, you've got to bring public awareness to the fact that there's even a farm
come
there.
to the Marion Falcon committee meeting.
Okay.
Of course, when we opened it up, we had people from the hamlet come, and they weren't too happy about it.
We opened what up?
Well, we had the meeting about it, remember, we had a whole bunch of people from the hamlet, and they were not.
That meeting here?
Yeah.
About the development.
Not particularly interested in listening to chickens and ducks and smelling cow manure and so on, things like this, so you gotta be careful what you wish for, too.
No, I understand.
Huntington residents.
Yes.
That's right.
I mean, the ones that are bordering it.
But one step at a time. You know?
What's that?
There may not be any chickens or ducks or cows, you know.
Well, if it was a farm.
Yeah, but doesn't necessarily have to be that. When Bosie's ran it as a farm, they actually brought in the animals every day and took them out at night.
Well,
They trucked them in during the day, for the kids to work with, and then they trucked them out.
Well, I don't see that happening.
I'm just telling you that that's what happened.
Either if it reverts back to the
Well,
will, it would be a
Yeah.
small working farm.
All I'm saying is take one step at a time. Rachel?
There's something, a law in New York State called the Alienation of Parkland Law. And in that law, they mention, historical sites and properties, land that received money under the grants, including the grant that was applied to the Marion Carl Farm.
Right.
And the law requires that if you take parkland out of use, you have to replace it with an equal number of acres
Somewhere else.
somewhere else.
In your county or in the state or we don't know what?
That's usually in the area, but where the area could be.
Do you have a copy of that law?
I do,
Could you send it to me?
yes.
Okay.
So that's like the trade-off that Coles made with the sawmill. Parking, I'm gonna take the rights from the sawmill for parking to use at Coles, which is already happening with proviso, that land will become part of Smithtown under the auspices of Smithtown when that man dies. The only problem with that is he's lost his parking rights.
Who's lost his parking?
The sawmill gave away as this.
I don't think it was parking. I think it
Yeah.
was water.
No, it was parking.
I thought it was water.
Coles needed more parking spaces in order to build that bigger building. And so the developer, same man, did this trade-off.
Mhm.
We should look into that.
And you then have sawmill now, which will eventually be a park of some sort, but you'll have no place to park there.
That's interesting.
Well, because you will have no parking space.
What about across the street where the house is, across from Sawmill, the house is there? Is that part of the package?
There is a piece of property there that I think the ladies in the back tried farming or putting some sort of flowers on her.
This law that Rachel was speaking about, though, was that Marion Carl that was designated as parkland? She said we take away parks, but if that was considered a working farm, that might not have been considered
Well,
parking.
it wasn't a working farm. To be a working farm, you have to sell product.
Yeah, but I mean, how.
it was never a park.
designated-
It's not a park.
But it was never a park.
I don't believe
No,
so.
but it's, they do mention historical sites.
Oh, okay. They say historical sites of parkland. I don't think that would have fit the
I don't know.
It's really an open space law, I don't know particularly, you know.
But we can certainly get
It's
someone, a lawyer to look at it and see what we can do about
Lawyers,
that,
then
make an interpretation.
Your own state senators will
Yeah.
help you out with
Right.
Where did you find that?
from my own state senator.
I'm always amazed at how you research. Does it come to you in the middle of the night?
Any other items from the members?
Oh, next month, we are having the Gerwin group come to explain what their proposal is for the development of their land behind the Gerwin nursing facility. So in concert with this idea of things that are changing in Comac. And I know Pat has gone there, and so has Julia.
And Joan also.
And Joan. So they already have some
I
information.
give them money, actually.
Oh, you give them money? Oh,
Yeah.
good. Oh, you're already settled in, or?
Oh, it was, it's $1,000,
Okay.
and they have it set up, it's in a bank account in my name, or some,
Right.
yeah, it's in my name, because I get interest on it.
Good
Like
thinking.
6 cents a year or something. But it's like kind of a good faith thing.
Right.
But is it a deposit to move there, you're trying to say?
It's to hold the place for.
To
To
hold.
hold my place in line, so to speak.
Right.
First dibs.
Yeah.
You get the first biggest house.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
actually, I think I'm number 50-something.
How many are they doing?
They're doing it.
176.
176. So that, condos or houses? How does
They're
it-
Apartments.
3
Apartments.
phases,
Okay.
so they're only focusing on the first phase at this point.
Right.
Rental apartments?
No.
No, it's a unique concept. CCRC, it will take a long time, and they will explain it. It is just very unusual in New York.
Okay.
It's in other parts of the country.
Uh-huh.
Jefferson Ferry in Port Jeff has it.
Right.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Jefferson
Is
Ferry.
it a step-down process?
It's what? What is,
It is.
what does it do?
It is.
Right.
You lease
Yeah.
the I guess condos or apartments, you don't buy them, you lease them, and you can pay a different price, right, okay? You could pay, say, $465,000 or $525 for the same apartment, but the person that pays the $525, if you decide to leave after 2 or 3 years, you'll get more of a percentage back than the person that paid the $465 for the.
But you also get
But there's
assisted living and nursing home
Right.
as the same one price deal, right?
And they're making deals with the hamlet to use the facilities.
When you move in,
Wait.
when you move in, you have the option of buying, I call it an insurance policy, I don't know what they call it, and I think it was like $60,000. And then that is what gives you, what, the step down, if and when
Right.
it becomes necessary. And whatever your monthly charges are on your unit is what you will pay in the step-down unit. So instead of, you know, I mean, like nowadays, a nursing home is,
Expensive.
it's a tremendous amount, and this is much, much less. It's a gamble.
Right. Okay.
Well, insurance is.
Again, it's $55.
And if you're lucky, you collect on your insurance,
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think that's
Or
lucky.
your
Someone else collects it.
Well, next month.
Next month they'll be here.
The
You're
18th.
come
gonna
next.
ask all
Yeah,
your
it's very
questions.
complicated.
But she'll bring all the information. Julie very nicely made that arrangement for us.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
They're also going to bring the CEOs, because she had called and told me I wanted to bring 2 other people with me.
Good.
I said, you bring whoever you want
Yeah.
with you to explain to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I hope people come, I really do.
Well,
You know what
we'll
I'm
do-
concerned about?
Yeah, we'll do a flyer
There's
like this.
176 people, rentals, and we have cars. How are we gonna get on Hop Hog Road to get anywhere? What is that going to entail? They never said anything about it.
It's the DOT, Department of Transportation, it's Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Julie, wait till Heartland goes in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know what
Heartland is
Heartland
9,000.
9,000 apartments.
Down
Down,
Comment.
Comac Road, where the Pilgrim State is.
When do they start developing that? What is that development?
Yeah, when is that
gonna
going to be developed?
They're going to do 3,500 units, I think, to begin with. That's what I.
Is anybody contesting that?
No, it's town of Islip, they approved it. And from what I've heard, that Suffolk County is going to be building the streets and the access to it.
And that's affordable housing, right?
Oh, very tall. It'll be very tall houses.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
tall housing.
affordable though, I mean.
Affordable, mixed,
I
mixed
think that
age.
it'll be
everything.
mixed.
Yeah. They're trying to get the young to be in there so they can get on the trains and go to the city. But the younger stay.
What trains?
Brooklyn. They go
Deer
to
Park.
Not
Brooklyn.
at Kings Park, are they gonna go to East Northport?
No, Deer Park.
I know,
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
right
does
there.
it go south?
You just can't park there, that's all.
I think a Brentwood
You need a
station.
train to get to the train station.
They sure are.
That's good.
But if that gets built, then the other problem's going to be minuscule.
We're also going to have Stony Brook Medical across the street from here over where Forest Labs was. Yeah, I don't know if you have any interest in having them come and talk to us to kind of tell us what their services will be.
That'd be a good idea.
You know, if you're interested, we'll pursue it.
Sure.
And we'll
Well,
get,
will that be an annex of the hospital?
yeah.
But
It'll
Maureen,
be
that's
an
gonna be
act-
split.
not like a medical emergency.
No, but
thing.
clinic.
It'll be a place where you go for appointments.
You know what, they're splitting that, Maureen, because we saw that one section of that is gonna be a parts, they're making parts for some machines.
Oh, really? Wow, that's not gonna go
It's
well.
not gonna be
Patient
totally
care,
split there? Yeah,
patient care and pods.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but
We saw it, we all remember.
Forest Labs are making parts, or Forest Labs is
Yeah,
not a good
Forest
Forest Labs is
bought
gone.
out.
They're
All
gone.
bought out.
Yeah, they were bought
And it was gonna be a medical facility, but Rich was reading the other day about this one portion of it is
It's
going
gonna
to
be
be
something else.
Manufacturing?
some,
Well, I don't know, parts distributor, I think.
Oh, parts distributor.
Okay,
I forget from whom.
yeah.
Yeah, that it could be, because it's wholesale.
If some developer bought the property, got giant tax abatements from the county and the town,
Yeah,
and now he's renting it out, some to Stony Brook, and let's say they got half, so now he's gotta rent out the other half to
well,
other
that's
people.
not good for us. We want.
Okay.
Share.
Our next meeting is the 18th of April, here at 7 o'clock. And the executive committee, the next meeting is April 4th at the conference room at 7 o'clock. Any questions? Can I have a motion to adjourn? We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
okay.